comments at another meeting?
I did.
But you know what we're going to ask is we're going to let those people who haven't spoken first speak. That's all right. And then I'm going to take.
I don't know if that's all right, but if you guarantee that I will be able to speak before the end of this, I will.
Uncle, I'm not going to guarantee everything. I'm going to try to make sure we go through.
I have worked promises before.
Wait, a while. All right? All right, I'm going to let Uncle speak 2 minutes.
The answer to the questions are no, 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 and no. It is interesting that some organizations that are supposed to be Hawaiian went to DC and convinced you guys to come here, or something. I don't know what. We don't know what happened. But we're glad you're here because we've had a chance to talk among us, see who's who, and know better who you are. So this continuity between those who are at the trough and the people you see here is wide. In DC, you all have a view of Hawaii. I'm glad you've come here to see what's on the ground, grassroots. In fact, for your next trip, changing the rules, I would suggest that you create a process for deoccupation. We are in the kingdom. Where are you? Do you know where you are? Do you think you're in the so-called state of Hawaii? Well, if you think you are, will you show us some documentation that that is where you are? And for the keiki who may not understand what I'm driving at, it's this. The Admissions Act, 1959, says that the state of Hawaii is where the territory of Hawaii was. But when you look at what the territory of Hawaii was, the legislation says more about where it was not. And so, if the territory of Hawaii is not located, the state of Hawaii is here, and you are in the kingdom of Hawaii. Welcome.
Julie Sobel, Nicolai Souza, and Camille Stafford. Noble An, Kuala Lai,
Aloha. Aloha. To your questions that you have asked, I say no, 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 and no. I am an American. I first visited the islands in the late 60s as a small child. Our family came every few years as I was growing up. I moved to the Big Island in 1989 at the age of 23, and I became a student of Auntie Margaret Machado. And I've since made my way as a Lomi Lomi practitioner. I live in a house that I'm paying for and has all of the implications, and has, by all implications, been rendered illegitimate, perhaps even illegal. I paid escrow for a clear title on a home that can not guarantee it is actually mine. Where do American citizens go? What do we do? If this is all true, and I believe it to be, what do I do? This is a tenuous position, somewhere between what appears to be a legal obligation of some small part of a larger legal injustice, wherein all other acts of commerce and contract are null and void. This is hard to comprehend. Have American citizens been defrauded by the banks, misled by the state, defrauded by the federal government, which apparently has knowledge of this illegal and illicit possession of these islands by that very United States? What are we to think? Did the United States have prior knowledge of the unjust occupancy? Are we collectively, unconsciously complicit in breaking the law? Am I to be held accountable while the system itself denies its own questionable existence? I have been living with my husband on the Hamakua coast, and I know this is a Hawaiian community, a local community, in the best sense and in every way. Hawaii deserves its self-determination. We as Americans should support the principles of justice and law by our own laws, by our own admission we are doing something wrong. Let's make it right. Tomorrow is the 4th of July. How ironic that is that. We are going to be celebrating our independence as we illegally occupy this nation. Shame on us.
To everybody, aloha, aloha. Sorry. I couldn't help. I was crying so much. I had to eat 3 chocolate eclairs because they're so bitter. You know, we drink coffee, we chocolate because we gotta equal up all the bitterness. And so for my kids, no. 5 no's. And just to clarify, I mean, even President Cleveland said, give back Hawaii. And he sent James Blunt to come into the report, and even James Blunt did the report, and he said it was illegally seized. So when the new president came in, what they did, nothing. So, and then Clinton apologized that it was illegal. So, kind of, it looks what it looks like, you guys. So, if we can talk to somebody better than you guys can deoccupy Hawaii, then that would be great for our kids. Mahalo.
Noble. And after Noble, I have Kualalai, and I am sorry if I'm going to mispronounce this. Is it Navibini Kaho'opigi? And Michael Hudson.
Justice Smith, where's the Department of Justice? How come the Department of Justice is not here while I'm saying this? No, really. Can I let somebody go until the Department of Justice comes back? Because I'm not saying nothing until he's. Yeah, I prefer. I'm not going to say nothing. I'll let folks go until the Department of Justice gets here. I'm here for him.
Rulemaking. This rulemaking is for you guys, right? That's not for us. You're making the rules as how you want to proceed in dealing with our people. Nation to nation, our nation still exists. It's our government that does it. We're getting represented by the state of Hawaii. That's not our government. So obviously we need to reestablish our government. Our government represents our nation, so we cannot have a nation-to-nation relationship unless we become a government, because the government is our mouthpiece for our nation. So I understand this rulemaking. This is for you guys to create one rule or one policy or procedure so that we can go to you guys and have that relationship, because we don't have that right now. I know DOI, DOJ have procedures already with Indian country, Alaska Natives. We don't have one ourselves. Cannot be one, we didn't. We don't want you to help us to make our own government. We know how. Now, we might not be able to do it as a state, the whole island, because everybody different. The Hawaiians in Waimea, we're different than Waimea Hawaiians. We're different than Kahu Hawaiians. So we want to make, right here, Waimea Nui, we want to be able to organize our people, our Kanaka is right here, so that we can go and be recognized as an independent nation with you when we form our government and get ready to rock and roll. But not try to get the whole state together, because that ain't going to happen. Even Kamehameha and all that, make that happen. Okay? So, if this is a procedure, because Akaka bill, whether you for it or against it, never passed, to create the recognition, this is a procedure that the president is creating so that we can bypass Congress's BS and with the Republican Party, that we can actually have a procedure to our government, we work with your government, and we become a nation. And for that, I'm for it.
I'm here in my official capacity. My name is Poet Nicholas. I was elected to the lawful Hawaiian government, House of Nobles, back in 2011 in accordance with international law. Miss Kiana, I'm also a commitment school was all in like 13 years, 2003. So that's it. I also worked on Bob Marks' campaign, so no hard feelings. But real quick, I'm going to do this as quickly as I can because I got points and I got homework for Mr. Smith over there. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Okay, so real quick, just so everybody else knows what I got in here, you will become serve notice of all these things. Okay, Kiel versus Royal Dutch Patrol, the United States Supreme Court, 2013. That's the paradox of extraterritoriality. Here is something from Dateline about the Native Hawaiian claim settlement and what Illinois was trying to pull off. Here is an actual quote of what Abercrombie said back in Congress about that 1.8 million acres of seized Crown government lands. Here is the Declaration of Rights of the People and the Chiefs, the Magna Carta of the Pacific. This is the memorial of the 1897 Kuya petitions. Let's see, this is the notice that we served to the legislature back in 2011 of Act 95, of Act 95, back in 2011. Here is the cover sheet for State of Hawaii versus Oha et al. Also the report Albert Jr., I'm sure you folks all know him. This is from the Press Legal Series about Native tenant rights. Let's see, here's some things from Keanu guys and Tom Anthony guys. Okay, Alien Tort Statute, United States Code, Title 18, Section 1350. The district courts have original jurisdiction for any civil action by an alien for a tort only committed in violation of the law of nations or a treaty with the United States. Also here, Dr. Keanu Sai's paper, 1893 Cleveland Legal Colonial Executive Agreements, the UN Declaration of Rights of the People and Chiefs. Okay, I'm gonna get some points because you guys get, see, that's only halfway through. Okay. This is, how much time do I have left? 10 seconds. Okay, all right. Australia, Chile, Colombia. Okay, half of the UN Security Council is here. Okay, I'm just going to give you guys this paper after, but I'm going to bring up the point that if the state of Hawaii insists that Barack Hussein Obama was born here, then that means that the President of the United States was born in a foreign country, and he is thereby That's right, and Barack Hussein Obama went to where? Pudaho, Oahu College. Who came from Pudaho? Lauren Thurston and Sanford Bull. And he's doing it on purpose because he knows what's up. He did it on purpose. That is true.
I put on my glasses, I've been involved with this a long time, but I actually been blurry here, so 35 years, a long time. Aloy na kua, aloy na makua, aloy na liwa kuala. Aloy na makua, aloy na kako. Wawa na leka hakalau, and the leka hakalau, I didn't know kua kuku haile, and the moku ha makua. I was too far to go to Hilo, so I have to come here today. Definitely not going to corner tonight. Yeah. So anyway, my 2 minutes are running, so here we go. We soundly no to all 5 of your questions. My knowledge that we should be looking at questions like when shall the independent nation of Hawaii be reinstated and things like that. Those are the kind of questions you should be asking. I know there was a report that was put out in 2000, which I knew nothing about until I went online and saw it, about the Makai report. They talk about reconciliation between the federal government and Native Hawaiians. When you look at the term reconciliation, the word being reconcile, it basically means to settle, bring together, resolve, merge, patch up, appease. Yeah? Appease means to pacify or make people quiet. Yeah, just put people back on friendly terms, end conflict, make somebody accept something, make consistent or compatible. I prefer the term reestablishment or to reestablish. When you look at the term reestablish, it means to reinstate, to restore, to return, to give back. It means to succeed in getting or having something again. So what we're imploring is that we have again our nation of Hawaii. All the atrocities that's happened to us, the Native Hawaiians, the oppression, suppression, repression, depression, is because of the fact that we are a member of the United States, unfortunately. In my travels throughout the world, I've been fortunate to travel through many nations, international nations, and all the Indian nations. First and foremost, the Indian nations are interacting with the Department of Interior, so again, while you're here, we should be talking to the Department of State. That's who we should be talking to. So again, as far as myself, I'm representing, although I'm affiliated with many Hawaiian organizations, I'm representing my ancestors who did sign the Kuwait petition back in 1897, also my extended nuclear family, and also myself. For myself, I need to stand as an independent person, part of a collective group, as an independent person in the nation of Hawaii. I would like to end though with a statement by Henry David Thoreau. This is from his book, Civil Disobedience. And basically he says, All men recognize the right of revolution. That is, the right to refuse allegiance to and to resist the government when its tyranny or its inefficiencies are great and unendurable. And believe me, the inefficiency and endurability definitely exists here in Hawaii and throughout the world. Mahalo for making us a target. Mahalo for everything. We appreciate that you guys being here, teaching the EAs and being able to have us up today. And again, you're going to get more EAs as the nights and days go on. Mahalo.
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Walalai Keauluna Keo'ulua, born on the island of Molokai, raised on Moko Keawe. And this is, you want to say your name, Mako? This is my son, Lamaku. And we just came here today because we're just really proud of everybody. And I wanted to show my son face first that the nation's there here. Yeah. You know, our ancestors, we traveled on canoes, yeah? Catamaran, fastest hull design in the world to this day, yeah, from Polynesia, yeah? On top of the canoes, we transported plants from all around the world. Anthropologists call it career suicide, you know? To the center of the most isolated landmass in the biggest ocean on Earth, yeah? So, basically, all I here is just for support for our nation because, you know, even under occupation, under genocide, everything, we've held American jobs, we've been activists, we raised families, we've been doing it very well. So people come from all around the world, including our communities here, for teacher trainings and stuff, and they try to figure out how we're so successful. But the bottom line is we're on little islands with small, with little resources, you tend to figure it out one way or another or you're not going to make it. You know? So I just like to mahalo our kupuna, our mana awakea, and give a little advice of two real important things. Maybe three. Yes, don't build the TNT. Yeah, that's one. Stop the bombing of Wakuloa. Yeah, that's two. And stop using Hamakua as a GMO testing site. Yeah, that's number three. You can teach our own kids, you can teach our people, and I take advantage of the time here right now and list all this manao because we can show you how to build a nation.
And then after, I have Kaleo Ka'ai.
Aloha, my name is Navahini Koho'opiki. I'm here to represent my ohana. Note to define primary questions and also note to the 14 secondary questions. We had no input into the information of these questions or your reason for these meetings. We also had no input into the Akaka Bill, Kauinoa, Bill 195, or Kanaio Uvalu, none of which my ohana supports. My ohana did end up on the roll of Kanaio Uvalu without signing up and without our consent, so I question the validity of the roll. Although you profess to find your duties to our First People as a sacred trust, your actions do not match your words. The way these proceedings are set up for myself has been insulting. After so many years of mismanagement, I can only conclude it is the intention and do not possess the will or the need for correction. After 120 years, you come here with almost no notice. Offer a meager 2 minutes for presentations. Offer documents that you yourself have described as gobbledygook. Last night, you turned away almost half of those who came to speak and who spent precious time preparing testimony and sat for hours only to be turned away in the presence of armed security. There was no access provided for live streams so that our ohana and other islands could participate. And there was no interpreter for first language speakers of our ohana. You state the Native American people enjoy the benefits of a relationship with you, but when I did just a little bit of research, I found that to also be questionable. The Eloise Coble versus DOA brought about the misuse of almost 300,000 trust accounts of Native Hawaiians, and the settlement was $3.4 billion. It resulted in a 34-page judgment described by the judge as the DOI being filled with bureaucratic blunders, flubs, spoofs, follow-ups, peppered with scandal, deception, dirty tricks, outright racism, and villainy. Kalamai, that reminds me of Boha. Spirit of DOA partnered with national parks to take a substantial amount of the Pine Ridge Reservation land base as a national park, and to force the eviction of the Native Americans on that reservation, who are ranchers and homesteaders, and using the federal weapon of eminent domain. In closing, I can see you're getting closer to me. In 90 years, you have not managed to get all of Kanaka Maoli onto Hawaiian homelands. 90 years, and we still have people waiting on the list. My father died on the list. My father died on the waiting list. 3 months after he died, his award came in. That's just unbearable. It's unbearable. So, Kalamai, we don't need you. We don't need your help. I don't think you're here to help because if you had 90 years to do that, you still haven't managed to get that done. I'd like you to leave, and I mean that respectfully. I don't want to hurt your feelings personally. We have a nation still standing. Deoccupy Hawaii.
Hello. Welcome for coming. I'd like to say that I think the sentiments of everybody was already spoken. It's loud and clear about deoccupying Hawaii. But here's what one of the wonders that I wondered, the great wonders that I saw. As I went to Washington, I saw something in the Capitol Rotunda that was amazing. The forefathers that created America all their buses was in this rotunda. One of the things that was so amazing to me was in that rotunda had Kamehameha the Great in that rotunda. He has nothing to do with America, and it was so amazing to see that in this place of America. And we're not even part of America, but the mindset is that they try to make Hawaii part of America. And that's all I'd like to say. Just give back Hawaii to Hawaii.
Waimea, Tammy Hart, B. Kalani Flores, and B. Kua Case.
Aloha to the representatives of the Department of Interior. Aloha to my community. My name is Waimea, and I speak in behalf of my Ohana. In response to your questions, my reply is ole, and ole. I would also like to add comment. No, we do not need or want your assistance from your secretary and your government. I was born when our kingdom was under U.S. territory. In my lifetime, I have seen many changes under your governance that has left our people and our resources in despair. Left on our own accord, our people are more than capable in maintaining their villages. It is the U.S. that has brought in those invasive species. Your government's propaganda that I grew up with stated a democracy, a land of free, a voice of the people. And that same propaganda has also fed inaccuracies, portrayed our people as incompetent, divided, and a people who survive off of your government's handouts. You have forced us to beg for what is ours, when in actuality, we are very wealthy. We have resources that are our kuleana. We are a brilliant and intelligent people, not only in our mind, but we are also intelligent in our na'au. This is our inheritance. We will speak for ourselves. I have watched our people ask your Office of Hawaiian Affairs question after question after question with no response. Please, I ask that you go to your government and you tell them that your government organizations and offices will not be making decisions in our behalf. Your ploy to slide our names onto your proxy cards is a failure. Please tell them the next time that the U.S. comes, it will be under proper protocol and respect. The tide is changing, the tables are turning, and the U.S. will be answering to our questions. As our resources will be returned to us, our great kingdom. And remember, everyone, that it is the people who make the foundation of any nation.
Thank you.